YouTube, this is Steve from Average Joe's Fantasy Football, and I'm here for your start and sit quarterback edition. We are week 11 of the NFL season, which means we are getting closer and closer to the fantasy playoffs. So we are getting there, and of course there are teams on bye. We've got all kinds of stuff going on, so hopefully you guys pay attention. Let's jump right into it. All right, so again, like I mentioned, week 11 of the NFL season is here, which means you're about 4 to 5 weeks before the playoffs of the fantasy season starts. So everything that you do right now is very crucial in helping you get to that particular spot. Now, there are 4 teams on a bye this week, so make sure you guys are paying attention. You've got the Panthers, the Bucks, the Cardinals, and the Giants. So you've got some decent quarterbacks that are not going to play this week, but otherwise you've got a really good amount out there. So I want to make sure this video helps you guys out. Now, these are your obvious starts at the quarterback position. These guys should, whether they be great matchups or just consistently been a top fantasy quarterback week in and week out, these guys should be in your lineups. Now, jumping into the start aspect, I've got Russell Wilson as my first quarterback I mentioned as a good start this week. Going against the Baltimore Ravens, and Russell has been great since coming off of injury. He is averaging 18.9 points a game and is averaging 2 passing touchdowns per game as well. Now he faces their AFC North rival in Baltimore, where they have been horrendous in the secondary. They've struggled all season long, allowing 21.7 points per game, 314 passing yards per game, and averaging a 2 touchdowns per game against them. So Russell should cook in this one. I think this is going to be a really good matchup. I think it's going to be a fun game. A lot of stuff going on in this one. Like, this is a big one for the Steelers. They have not played a divisional matchup, and if they win, this puts them into the driver's seat as far as getting that AFC North title. So I think it's going to be a fun game. Russell should be in your lineup. Another quarterback I like keeping in that North division, but on the NFC side, is Jared Goff versus the Jaguars. What a disappointing game Jared Goff had last week. He threw 5 interceptions after having an amazing season so far, but 5 interceptions absolutely killed him, even though he still threw 2 touchdowns. For the season, though, he's been a nice little hot streak. You got to give him credit. Now, he has cooled down a little bit, but this is the perfect matchup for him to kind of get back on track going against the Jaguars. Jaguars are allowing 22 points per game to quarterbacks and 270 passing yards. Look for Goff to have a top 5 performance this week. They may even blow them out by the second quarter and rest them. Hopefully that doesn't happen, but this is a matchup that is perfect for Jared Goff to kind of turn it around after an atrocious Week 10 performance. Now, the last quarterback I want to mention as a good start this week is going to be CJ Stroud versus the Cowboys. Look, I've mentioned CJ Stroud very little this season, and because, unfortunately, he's been dealing with a lot. Stroud has not performed anywhere near what he had done in his rookie season, but that's okay. Sophomore slumps happen. They exist. He's not a bad quarterback, but he is dealing with bad offensive line performance and a lot of injuries at the wide receiver position. 2 things that should help Stroud have a better top 10 type of performance this week. He faces the Dallas Cowboys, who are struggling absolutely every category. They're allowing 20 points per game and over 230 passing yards. Plus, Nico Collins could be back this week, and the fact that it is a Monday night game gives him an even higher chance of playing. So he gets Nico back, that would be great. Going against the Cowboys, that is great. Stroud should be a must start this week. Now, jumping into the sit category, the first quarterback I want to mention as a sit is going to be Jordan Love versus the Bears. Now, this may be tough to do because Love is a quarterback that I don't mind, especially in Superflex. But right now, as a single quarterback play, he's definitely struggled, especially since week 7. He's only averaging 11 points a game and has thrown 4 interceptions in those 3 games. Bears have actually done a pretty good job against the pass, holding quarterbacks to 11 points per game and only allowing 200 passing yards as well. Plus, they've only allowed 6 passing touchdowns so far this season in their game. So that's amazing. They've played really, really well. They just haven't played really well on the offensive side. But if I have other options, I am going to sit Jordan Love. Another quarterback I'm going to sit this week is going to be Geno Smith versus the 49ers. In their first outing, Geno only put up 14 points and threw 2 interceptions that game. Now, he could have DK Metcalf this week, which is great news for him, especially since he's missed some time. But the 49ers defense actually should keep Geno around that 12 to 13 point performance. Not going to crack him in that top 10. So again, if you're needing to start him, I would kind of hold off and put another player. The 49ers have actually created 10 interceptions so far this season, and they actually only allowed 1 touchdown a game as well. So The matchup's tough. I don't love it for Geno Smith. Even though he may get DK Metcalf back, I would possibly look for other options. And the last quarterback I'm going to mention as a sit, it's going to be Kirk Cousins versus the Broncos. Cousins is worth a possible sit this week only because the Broncos are actually near the top against the pass, holding quarterbacks to 212 passing yards a game and only allowing 14 points per game. That does not allow enough points for Cousins to be a top 10/top 12 quarterback in fantasy. Cousins has played well this season, and he is quarterback 10, but he has been very, very inconsistent. He has had more games under 10 points in fantasy than he has hit over 20 points. So yes, he might have that type of game, but realistically, he's going to average around that 14-point range. Not good enough to put him in my lineup this week. I think it's going to be a little bit tougher against the Broncos. Now, as far as my sleepers, I've got Justin Herbert versus the Bengals, and I've got Bo Nix versus the Falcons. Both these quarterbacks have some really good matchups. I've mentioned Bo Nix in my waiver wire video. He should be available in most leagues, so if you're looking to put a quarterback in compared to some of the ones I mentioned as a sit, great option. Grab one of those guys. So those are my start sits and sleepers for week 11. Again, if you haven't already, check out my other start and sit videos as well. Hit my waiver wire video while you're at it if you haven't already to get some players that might help you out for the rest of the season. Hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and I'll check you guys out next time.